It appears that life on the show Gold Rush can become exceedingly stressful, leading several miners to leave the series due to escalating tensions. In the past, Parker Schnabel openly acknowledged his tendency to be vocally expressive with his crew, often raising his voice. As a person who wears his emotions openly, the Gold Rush star doesn't hide his frustrations when working with his team. Regrettably, this can occasionally make his employees feel undervalued, as his foreman experienced during the cluster cut. The most renowned departure occurred in 2019 during a Season 10 episode. Parker Schnabel, along with his foreman Dean, encountered communication and calculation challenges while making preparations for a dig. Unfortunately, these mistakes ultimately rendered the situation irreparable. Prior to Parker Schnabel and the other Gold Rush stars striking gold, they must first undertake the essential task of preparing the site. Every aspect of the plan requires meticulous consideration, as even a minor miscalculation can potentially set the team back by several weeks, if not months. Therefore, it falls upon Parker and the other mine bosses to effectively manage their crew and ensure they remain focused and on schedule. This additional responsibility may place some extra pressure on the crew members. Consequently, this pressure can lead to one of two outcomes, either a substantial bonus as a reward for their hard work or the receipt of their final paycheck, signifying the end of their employment. Regrettably, such circumstances can occasionally result in employees feeling undervalued, similar to how Foreman Dean felt during the cluster cut. Despite experiencing pressure from his youthful boss, Dean persevered and continued to work on the pad for the wash plant. Meanwhile, Parker arrived at the site accompanied by his loyal dog, Dozer, filled with anticipation as they aimed to position the sluice. Without delay, the Gold Rush boss initiated the process of taking measurements and swiftly discovered that while the pad could accommodate the machinery, it fell short in terms of providing sufficient space to work around the sluice. Correcting this significant error would require several days, pushing the Gold Rush team even further behind schedule. Parker, visibly upset by the mistake, invited Dean to his office in a trailer to discuss the situation and find a resolution. Although Parker had a tendency to raise his voice, he surprisingly managed to keep his temper in check when it came to Dean after the wash plant pad disaster. However, this was partly due to the fact that Dean never allowed Parker the opportunity to yell at him. Subsequently, Parker demanded a meeting with Dean in his office to address the mounting tension between them. Dean complied with the request, but he had already made up his mind to conclude his tenure on the show. "I know exactly what you want to say, and I have nothing to say to you," he firmly expressed to his boss. With those words, both individuals departed, visibly harboring anger towards each other. Prior to his departure with his family, Dean revealed to the cameras that he had bid farewell to the rest of the Gold Rush crew, deliberately excluding Parker, in an attempt to evade any unpleasant confrontations. As the former foreman began to drive away from the camp, Parker emerged and approached him, holding a white envelope containing Dean's final paycheck. With an air of tension between them, they exchanged stiff handshakes before Dean drove off, marking it as his final departure. Whether Parker had intended to terminate Dean's employment or not remains uncertain. Regardless, it was evident that the foreman had reached his breaking point with the demanding and stressful life on Gold Rush, choosing to vanish from the show permanently. Despite Parker's reputation as a demanding boss, his actions spoke volumes when he personally approached Dean and handed over the final payment. With a handshake and genuine well wishes, Parker demonstrated that he possessed qualities of a considerate and fair-minded boss.